Today, what we know as County Antrim used to be the territory of not one, but two ancient Ulster kingdoms. One, Dalradia, concentrated in the south of the county, and another, Dalriada, further to the north and east. From around the end of the 5th century, the influence of the kings of Dalriada spread into the western parts of Scotland. Power shifted from the royal fort of Dunseverick on the north coast of Antrim over to places like Dunad in Scotland. The members of Herstory in Ballymoney and the Carson women's group in Harryville have been discovering how exploring different aspects of Ulster's past can help them move towards a more informed and creative response to their everyday lives. As you can see, we're up here today at Slemish. Slemish used to be on the borderlands between Dalradia over here to the south and Dalriada up there towards the north. In the course of this film, we'll be moving backwards and forwards between these two areas and looking at the work of these two women's groups. The Carson women's group in Harryville is led by Rhonda Rainey, and Herstory, Women in Loyalism, based in Ballymoney, is led by Leanne Abernethy.
Herstory started in 2021. It's an add-on to part of Ulidia Community Empowerment, and it just felt the right time for a programme specifically for women. Our project Herstory is based in Ballymoney, but we have women coming from Antrim right up to Londonderry. And then if you look at the other group that's working in Ballymena, they're doing absolutely fantastic work, and they're Dalradia, whereas we are Dalriada. But we have had connections over the last number of years through the Carson project and Ulidia Community Empowerment. And then especially whenever we seen the quest for Dalradia, it piqued our interest, and then that's when we got speaking to Rhonda more, and we thought we need to look at Dalriada. I think sometimes we're so focused on Loyalist history or Republican history, Protestant Catholic, we're not looking further back in history. So especially up in this area as well, we're very passionate about Dalriada. Dalriada has so many names up here. There's Dalriada School, we have Dalriada Training, our own training company. But what is Dalriada? So what we looked at then was we need to learn more about this. We need to learn more about our area and where we live. And the fact that Dalriada, the actual kingdom, the base, was in Dunseverick. Dunseverick's only a few miles out the road from where I live in Bushmills, and it's just such a peaceful, quiet, magical place. And you can see for miles when you're looking out to sea, you can see over to Scotland. We are very proud of Dalriada's connection with Scotland as well, so there's Scotland Dalriada and there's Ulster Dalriada. But what people don't realise is that way back, way before the Earls were here, people from here, Dalriada people, went over to Scotland and settled over there. So that's going way back in history that we're not taught about at schools, is that Dalriada was here and we were moving to Scotland well before people talk about the plantation and Scottish people coming back over here. I don't know why we're not taught further back in history at school, and it's something I think we need to talk to people about, and politicians and people in charge, to say we need to learn the whole way back. How can we as a society move forward if we're constantly looking at one set of society are called planters and that they're not welcome in a country? We need to examine the whole way back and say, well, actually everybody was here. And United Irishmen had a big part to play here. Whenever you look back at the rebellion, so they were formed in 1791. They were coming from a Presbyterian background, which a lot of us can relate to. And in 1796 they were made illegal, and then they started the rebellion in 1798. And that's things people need to understand and they need to know. Dr. Ian Adamson's first book that I had read, The Cruthon, was very good. I then read his book, The Common Identity, that he had written with Helen Brooker, and it's very interesting as well. And I think it's one of those things that people try to brush under the carpet or ridicule because they don't want to face up to the fact that there is a lot that unites us rather than divides us, because it doesn't help the agenda sometimes of what political parties are trying to push. We can be proud to be a loyalist, and we can research, and we can be academics, we can be scholars, we can be in positions of power, we can sit in the back, we can do whatever it is we want to do. I think it's got to the stage now, you need to say you're proud of who you are. You shouldn't have to hide yourself away to try and fit into what everybody else wants you to be. You can be proud of who you are and do what you need to do, but still encourage everybody else to be who they are and do what they want to do. That's what a diverse society is. So it's good for us to have discussions, because people will say, why did you call yourselves loyalists? Why the loyalist name? And then we can sit down and talk to them and say, what are we loyal to? Because that's the question we get a lot. So for me, my loyalty is to Northern Ireland. And that's what I'm proud of, and that is my culture, my heritage and my identity, and I would love to talk to anybody about that.
Women's group in the Carson project, I suppose, started a couple of years ago when we had got a bit of funding. So we do lots of things. We've done history projects. I have to mention, a great one, Ordinary Women, Extraordinary Times with Martin Snodden. It really was, I suppose, the first big history project that we had did. It was all about women and how their stories had somehow been forgotten in history, but very important stories. We've learned a bit about the United Irishmen, and I would say if you had said to some of our women about the United Irishmen, they would have probably thought they were all Catholic men, and they think, like we visited Marianne McCracken's grave up in Belfast, and the first thing we noticed when we went in, there was a lovely green, white and orange harp on the grave, so they've claimed her. But that's not true. The United Irishmen, probably most of them were Presbyterian men. Like when I was at school, God, I hated history. God, it was all about Tudors, kings and queens, and it would have bored you to tears. I really, really didn't like it. I can't understand why we don't learn about our history in schools. So we have done a few history things, and one of our members, Heather, says every day's a school day. She just loves it. We went down to Ballymoney. The Herstory had put on a great day, and the thing that I liked about it was about the women of the group. There wasn't any fancy speakers in, there wasn't people telling you what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. It was the story of those women. So we heard stories of apprentice boys' wives, we heard stories of women involved in band scenes, we heard stories of women that were in the Orange Order. We heard their personal stories and their personal life. So for me, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear more women telling their stories. I would say our women's group is an escape. It's escape, like I say before, just from that day in, day out, daily routine. Like they come in sometimes to me and we're maybe doing an activity and they're saying, oh God, Rhonda, we'll never get this done today. We'll not get this done, and I'm not doing that. And I'm saying, you will. Like, I have faith in you. And we do. We don't leave anybody behind, as they say. We work as a group. We are a team. I had originally went and watched the other film that the fellas from the White House here had did, and I suppose there was a couple of things sparked my imagination. They had done that great window, and I thought, Denise, one of the girls for the women's group, had come with me, and she said she had seen me. She says, no ideas, and I says, now we're not going to make a stained glass window, but I says, we could make a quilt. I suppose our group, like I say, is from Harryville and Ballymena, so we're remembering things that we're good in our community, places that were there in yesterday and are maybe not there now. So I suppose there are images that are important to Ballymena and Harryville especially. So some of the images, obviously we've the Moat Hill, which is quite important to us at the minute because we're working on a project. We're a very historical monument part of Harryville. This year we have knitted and crocheted, I am sure, over 600 poppies. For us, I suppose that remembrance and us being part of that is important to us. This film, I wanted to show what women can do. We have something important to say, and I think people need to listen to us. I think, it's time that we did speak out. Loyalism for me, it's about your family, your culture, your traditions, your history. For the women in the group, I'm very loyal to them. God forbid somebody say anything about them. Oh my. So loyalism for me is much, much more than what I suppose people portray it to be.
Marching bands are family. They mean more. They're more than just a gather up. It's so much more than just parading down the road. I went to Ralstown Sons Ulster. One of the main reasons was because they walk Dalradia, and it's one of the best walks of the year, and I love it. So that's why I went there, and I've been there for 8 years now. Well, I am a flag carrier. I'm actually over the colour party. We have 9 flags at the minute, and we're always recruiting. I always wanted to be a flitter, but unfortunately, due to my dyslexia, it's harder for me to get it into my head. Although recently I have been able to learn the sash if I have the notes in front of me. So I'm taking steps, small ones, a wee bit later than I hoped, but I'm getting there. When you're walking down the road and all eyes are on you, but they're not on you because they're on the band as a whole, and it gives you a feeling of pride, and you just swell up inside. There is no other feeling like it. It's means so much. I can't tell you what it is to put on the uniform and go down that road. Sergeant Robert Quigg was from this area, up near the Erd. He grew up here. When he got to the end of school age, he started working in an estate outside Bushmills, the McNaughton estate. He then enlisted in the Ulster Volunteers. That was due to the crisis with Home Rule. The band is so therapeutic because it gives me so much more. It's you have support, you have people to talk to. It's taking you away from the pressures that you have in the house, the struggling, you maybe have a bad time at home that week, and you go out that weekend and you maybe tell them, oh, this happened, that happened, and somebody's there to listen to you. You don't feel alone. I have always been interested in my background as a unionist and the history of my country, so it made sense for me to join. But I have gotten more than that. I have been educated. I've done courses through it. The ladies that I have met, I maybe knew some of them to see, but I wasn't friends with them. Since I have joined that group, I have made so many good acquaintances, real good friends that I would do anything for. I have had my eyes open to a lot of things. I found the further you go back, the more you find out about how it's not just we were planted here, not just that we came over from Scotland. It's more we have ties here that I didn't know of and probably yet to discover. There definitely seems to be a longer pathway heading to finding out more about what we have originated from, because we're not just come over here from Scotland and landed and took over. We were here a long time, and it's finding out that has made me feel that maybe things that I have been told have been wrong, and it's given me like a hunger to find out more.
I'm Anne Gibson. I was born and raised in Harryville, and we are now sitting on the Moat Hill, which would have been part of my childhood playground. Most people who lived in Harryville will know the Moat Hill. Families would have came here for picnics, just general play, a play area for everybody. Take a look around between the litter, snot being cut, sort of like bushes being left to run, you know, nothing cut back, no grass being cut. It's a shame because it's such an important part of Harryville. Well, I think the Department of Community should come up here now and take a look round and just see what needs to be done to maintain it, to cut the grass, to make sure there's no litter left, and just to generally take pride in it and look after it better. I'm from a staunch loyalist background, but through this group I have kind of come to see another side of our history involving women from a different religion, which I find very interesting. As I've worked with the Carson women group, I have sort of come round to a different way of thinking, you know, and understanding a wee bit more. I think if there's any way if there's any groups in their community, or like the Carson women, or just join. I mean, I would always been in the house, and now I've joined this group and I'm getting out, I'm seeing different perspectives, different views, going different places I've never been, and it's very interesting, a real eye-opener. The first time I went up the Falls Road with the group, I was kind of like, what am I doing here? Taking that step was very difficult for me, because being from a staunch loyalist background, I hand on heart, I did find it very difficult. When I met the other women's group and seen what they're doing for their community, and there's no sectarianism on any side, it was an eye-opener, very much an eye-opener for me. I have made so many friends, and definitely it's been good for my mental health. It definitely has. I think it's time now for women to stop being silent, join whatever groups you can, meet other people, go places you've never been before, learn your history, and get more involved.
Her story is women and loyalism, and I was at a bit of a low in my life with circumstances, and I was asked if I wanted to come along, just more or less building loyalist women up, talking about what we see as challenges as being a loyalist woman in today's society, and looking at documents, the Good Friday Agreement, just going through them to we can digest it, not what we see on the media, what we're told is in it. The Windsor framework, we sit and we read through and get our gist of what it's actually all about. I remember at school being really interested in history, but it wasn't our own history. It was English history, it was American history. I think That's the problem. We're not taught our history at school. First of all, it was the Ulster Scots that we were interested in. But we decided that we could go further back whenever we realised that Mount Sandler was sitting here. It was a wee gem that isn't recognised. We went to a conference in the university of 50 years of Mount Sandal. They had decided that they were going to make it into a tourist spot, but 50 years on, it hasn't happened. It's still there, and it's older than the pyramids. So I've got very, very addicted to all this. I just didn't realise that there was so much history. We just aren't told about it as children at school. Well, not that I remember, but some of the local schools have been involved last year with Mount Sandal and have done projects, and it was very interesting to see that they're actually being taught about it, and that was brought forward, and we were shown about it at the conference that we had down in the riverside. It's very important that we're able now to do like what we're doing today, this filming, and we can pass it on to the next generation that there is more than just Catholic Protestant in this island, that there was things happening hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years ago that they're missing out on. I think the history of this country is what the healing will be once we're able to talk to each other about it, read about it, watch it, see what actually did happen. I think is going to be the healing that will bring us all together, and we can get on with making this wee island a better place for everybody.
This film, moving as it does between Dalradia and Dalriada, has taken us one step further in our journey through the ancient kingdoms of Ulster. It has done so from a woman's perspective. Together, these women have shown us how standing back from history, taking the long view, can help give us a clearer perspective on the way we look at the world around us today and the world we want for tomorrow.
There is a lot that unites us rather than divides us.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear more people telling, more women telling their stories.
Things that I've been told have been wrong, and it's given me like a hunger to find out more.
Learn your history and get more involved.
I think the history of this country is what the healing will be